Story 1. Trevor lived in a quaint town in Pennsylvania, nestled amidst vast expanses of land. Despite residing nearly a mile apart, we were considered neighbors. Our homes were enveloped by dense forests that stretched out toward the looming hills. One fateful night, my friend Matt visited my place, and during our conversation, he divulged an intriguing discovery. While exploring the woods behind his house, he stumbled upon an old tunnel held together by weathered wooden beams. However, the eerie vibes emanating from it deterred him from venturing further alone. Intrigued by Matt's account, I inquired about the tunnel's location and learned that it was roughly a mile's walk behind his house, devoid of any discernible path. The prospect fascinated me, and despite the unsettling aura surrounding it, I agreed to join him on this enigmatic excursion. I hastily prepared a small backpack, equipped with a flashlight and a water bottle. We hopped into my car and made our way to Matt's residence, commencing our journey as dusk began to settle. As the clock struck 5 p.m., we embarked on our venture, basking in the knowledge that we had ample daylight ahead. The initial stretch of our hike led us through the wilderness, and after a brisk 20-minute walk, we reached our destination. The tunnel matched Matt's description, a rudimentary passage with wooden pillars supporting the entrance. It stood isolated, devoid of any remnants or signs of human activity in its vicinity. Curiosity sparked within me as Matt retrieved a flashlight from my bag and illuminated the tunnel's interior. It appeared to extend straight ahead, flanked by additional wooden beams. My mind speculated that it might have been an abandoned mine, yet the emptiness and absence of typical mining paraphernalia left me uncertain. Normally, old mines retained remnants like wooden crates or remnants of rail tracks, but this tunnel was desolate. With Matt leading the way, I followed suit, our footsteps resonating eerily down the corridor. After a few minutes, we reached the end of the entrance tunnel, encountering another path branching off to the left. Notably, an arrow marked the wall, pointing back in our direction with the word exit inscribed below it. Intrigued by the prospect of what lay ahead, we proceeded along the unexplored path, eager to uncover its mysteries. However, after taking only a few steps, our attention diverted to the peculiar sight of heaps of garbage strewn around the tunnel's periphery. Discarded trash bags, food wrappers, and water bottles littered the area. It became evident that someone had recently frequented this place, as confirmed by the markings we had seen earlier. Strangely, the trash appeared pristine, devoid of dirt or any signs of decay. This observation sent chills down our spines, hinting at the presence of recent visitors or an inexplicable phenomenon. Noticing the unease etched on my face, Matt speculated that the trash was likely left behind by teenagers who had been hanging out there. Attempting to shake off our disquiet, Matt forged ahead, navigating through the scattered debris. As his footsteps echoed into the distance, an unshakable sense of foreboding washed over me, compelling me to cast a final glance backward, ensuring no prying eyes watched us. To my surprise, Matt's footsteps came to an abrupt halt, freezing him in place. I pivoted, scanning the tunnel for any anomaly, his gaze fixed upon what appeared to be another passageway, akin to a hallway. However, he remained motionless, seemingly petrified by something in his line of sight. Despite calling out to him, my voice merely echoed through the tunnel, failing to stir a response. His stillness and the intensity of his gaze sent shivers down my spine. I could see the shock and terror etched on his face, leaving me deeply concerned. "What's wrong, Matt?" I whispered, my voice trembling with anxiety. But he remained silent, his eyes locked on whatever lay ahead. Feeling a knot of unease tightening in my stomach, I took a step closer, trying to catch a glimpse of what had captivated Matt's attention. A dim light from the flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows on the tunnel walls. My heart pounded in my chest as I strained my eyes, trying to pierce the darkness. Suddenly, Matt broke his silence with a barely audible whisper, "I'm sorry." His voice quivered with fear and urgency. He gestured for me to retreat, his hand trembling as he pointed back in the direction we had come from. The urgency in his actions was enough to send a surge of adrenaline through my veins. Without hesitation, I obeyed, my mind racing with questions. As we retraced our steps back into the main tunnel, a loud bang reverberated through the air, sending a chill down my spine. Fear propelled us forward, and we sprinted, driven by an instinct to escape. Only when we finally emerged from the tunnel did we slow our pace to a jog. Glancing over our shoulders, we scanned the surrounding woods, half expecting to see someone pursuing us. Breathing heavily, we reached Matt's house, hastily bolting the door behind us. We found ourselves in his living room, our eyes locked in a shared moment of disbelief and fear. It was then that I finally mustered the courage to ask the question that gnawed at me. "What did you see in there, Matt?" His face pale and haunted, Matt met my gaze, his voice barely above a whisper. "There was a man," he began, his words carrying the weight of the unspeakable. "He was sitting a few feet away in the next tunnel, unclothed, holding what appeared to be a squirrel or a rabbit. But the way he held it was as if he intended to gut it and consume it. A chill swept through the room, and I struggled to comprehend the horror of his words. My mind whirled with a mix of disbelief and unease. Though I contemplated dismissing it as a twisted prank, the raw fear in Matt's eyes convinced me otherwise. Something genuinely disturbing had unfolded within those shadowed depths. Days passed, and while the incident lingered in our memories, life seemed to regain a semblance of normalcy. However, the unease still gnawed at the back of our minds. We never dared to venture back into that sinister tunnel, choosing instead to bury the memory deep within our hearts. In the weeks that followed, Matt slowly regained his composure, but the trauma left an indelible mark. The notion of that unclothed figure, hauntingly engaged in a macabre act, had forever tainted our perception of the world. Reflecting on the incident, doubts crept in. Could it all have been a fabrication, a figment of an overactive imagination? But then again, witnessing Matt's profound terror and the subsequent transformation in his demeanor was evidence enough to reaffirm the validity of his account. The encounter served as a stark reminder of the enigmatic dangers that lurk within the wilderness. People who have chosen a life on the fringes of society, hidden away from prying eyes, may harbor motives and actions that defy our understanding. It was a chilling reminder that stumbling into their secluded domain could yield unthinkable consequences. From that day forward, the forest surrounding our homes held an aura of trepidation, forever etched in our minds. We became acutely aware that the wild and untamed expanses could conceal secrets, and those secrets might be far more sinister than we could ever imagine. Our experience served as a cautionary tale, a whispered warning shared among our friends and acquaintances. The tunnel, once an intriguing mystery, became a forbidden realm, a place no one dared to tread. The story spread like wildfire, taking on a life of its own as it passed from one person to the next, each retelling embellishing the horrors and feeding the collective fascination with the unknown. As time went on, I couldn't help but wonder about the man Matt had glimpsed in that dark tunnel. Who was he? What compelled him to engage in such twisted actions? Was he merely an anomaly, an isolated individual lost in the depths of madness? Or was there something more sinister at play, a hidden network of individuals, harboring their dark desires beneath the surface of the world we knew? In our quest for answers, we delved into local folklore and the tales of those who had encountered the inexplicable in the surrounding wilderness. Stories of strange figures, whispered voices, and inexplicable disappearances emerged, weaving a tapestry of fear that seemed to mirror our own encounter. Rumors circulated of a hidden community living deep within the forest, a congregation of individuals who had long abandoned societal norms, succumbing to their most primal instincts. They were said to possess a primal knowledge, an understanding of the dark recesses of the human psyche that allowed them to traverse the boundary between man and beast. These whispers and speculations only deepened the mystery, shrouding our minds in a veil of uncertainty. We questioned our own safety, the security of our homes, and the boundaries of the known world. Our once idyllic surroundings now felt tinged with an undercurrent of danger. Yet, amidst the fear and uncertainty, a sense of camaraderie emerged. We banded together, sharing our experiences, pooling our knowledge, and vowing to protect one another. Neighborhood watch groups formed, diligently patrolling the area and reporting any suspicious activity. We became a community bound by a shared sense of vulnerability and resilience, refusing to let the shadows consume us. Years passed, and the memory of that eerie tunnel began to fade, blending into the tapestry of local legends and cautionary tales. The forest remained, its secrets hidden within the depths of the trees, an enigma waiting to be unraveled. But one thing remained certain. The encounter with that unclothed man, with his macabre intentions, had forever changed us. It taught us the fragility of our perceived safety and the importance of vigilance. We would never forget the haunting gaze of that man, his dark presence serving as a reminder that evil can lurk in the most unexpected corners of our world. And so, we carried on, navigating the delicate dance between the known and the unknown, forever aware of the potential horrors that lay hidden in the heart of the forest. For in the depths of those woods, where the trees whispered secrets and shadows danced, our once innocent perception of the world had been shattered, replaced by a cautious reverence for the darkness that dwelled within us all. Story 2. In search of a more serene and tranquil lifestyle, I made the decision to move into a rental house outside the bustling city. The property, owned by a kind landlord, seemed like a perfect fit, modern interior, spacious rooms, and a vast expanse of land surrounded by dense trees, offering a sense of seclusion. The allure of being alone in the midst of nature was precisely what I craved. For the first week, my demanding work schedule prevented me from exploring the outdoors. However, one Friday evening, I found myself returning home early, eager to immerse myself in the peaceful ambience surrounding the house. As I ventured into the forested area adjacent to the property, I basked in the serenity, reveling in the simplicity of nature. But then, a peculiar sight caught my attention. In the distance, obscured by the trees, stood an enigmatic structure. Its form was hazy, concealed by the foliage. Intrigued, I strained my eyes, attempting to decipher its true nature. Despite my curiosity, the encroaching darkness and weariness urged me to leave it be for the night. However, as the hours passed, the image of that mysterious structure lingered in my mind. Succumbing to my fascination, I reached out to the landlord, hoping to satisfy my curiosity. Days went by, and yet no response came. Doubt began to creep in. Perhaps I had imagined the whole thing, mistaking it for something it wasn't. Upon returning from work the following day, I realized the landlord had still not addressed my query. Uncertainty gnawed at me. Unable to resist the allure any longer, I ventured back into the forest, determined to rediscover the enigmatic structure that had captured my imagination. As I neared the spot, the structure materialized before my eyes, a dilapidated, abandoned house. Its aged facade hinted at a forgotten past, while its size and structure suggested 2 stories. A sense of unease settled within me, exacerbated by the realization that the landlord had failed to disclose his presence on the property. Curiosity compelled me to approach the structure cautiously. I circled it, examining its exterior, disturbed by the unsettling atmosphere it exuded. In the rear, an ajar door swung precariously on its hinges, beckoning me further. Reluctantly, I stepped inside, immediately assaulted by a putrid stench that permeated the air. The foul odor surpassed any I had encountered before. With trepidation, I ventured deeper into the house, my phone's feeble light guiding my path. The darkness enveloped me, broken only by 2 boarded-up windows. The lower floor revealed an empty room, save for an old table positioned at its center. A staircase beckoned, leading to the upper level, where pitch-black darkness awaited. Gathering my courage, I illuminated the staircase with my phone's flashlight, expecting to reveal a typical second-floor space. But to my astonishment, there was nothing, just a wooden wall blocking any further ascent. Confusion and shock consumed me as I grappled with the bizarre discovery. Suddenly, a soft breath, not my own, reached my ears from beyond the wall. Panic surged within me, amplified by the sound of footsteps cautiously treading the upper floor. Realizing I had trespassed into an unknown territory, I retraced my steps, sprinting out of the house and returning to the safety of my own dwelling. Locking every door, I remained vigilant, casting fearful glances outside, dreading the sight of an intruder. Conflicted and uncertain of what steps to take, I contemplated the implications of the situation. Was the abandoned house truly on the rental property? Was it possible that the landlord was oblivious to its existence? The unsettling events left me in a state of unease. The fact that the house stood in my backyard, unknown to me until now, only intensified my discomfort. Wrestling with these thoughts, I grappled with the idea that there might be more to this eerie dwelling than met the eye. Unable to shake off the disquieting encounter, I decided to reach out to the authorities for assistance. However, my mind swirled with doubt. Would they believe my account? Would they provide answers to the questions that haunted me? It took me an hour of internal turmoil before I mustered the courage to contact the police. When the authorities arrived, they appeared skeptical, their expressions betraying a lack of seriousness toward my concerns. Nevertheless, they agreed to investigate the abandoned house. The officers' arrival brought a sense of relief, as if their presence could somehow dispel the enigma that enveloped the property. Accompanied by the police, I led them back to the house, recounting the chilling experience I had endured. As we entered, the fetid stench assaulted their senses as well, confirming the authenticity of my claims. We ventured through the lower floor, passing the desolate room with its solitary table, and ascended the staircase together. However, as we reached the top of the stairs, my heart sank. The room that had been concealed behind the wooden wall was now inexplicably empty. It was as if the very existence of that hidden space had been erased, leaving no trace of its prior presence. The officers, too, were baffled, unable to comprehend the disparity between my recollection and the reality before them. Growing increasingly disconcerted, I pressed the officers about the sounds I had heard, the breathing, the footsteps, but they assured me that their thorough search of the house yielded no evidence of any other presence. Their words contradicted my own experience, leaving me to question my sanity. With a mix of frustration and fear, I bid the officers farewell. They left, their departure amplifying the sense of isolation that enveloped me. My unease only deepened as I contemplated the mystery that surrounded the abandoned house and the landlord's persistent silence. Weeks turned into months, and my attempts to reach the landlord remained futile. Even mundane inquiries about rental payments went unanswered. With mounting frustration and growing apprehension, I made the difficult decision to terminate my lease and vacate the premises. The uncertainty that clung to that house proved too overwhelming to bear. In an act of finality, I sent a message, expressing my intent to break the lease and relinquish my ties to the property. Strangely, there was no response from the landlord, a disconcerting silence that punctuated my departure. Despite ending my lease prematurely, I received no texts, no emails, no acknowledgement of my decision. As I moved away from the house, leaving behind the enigmatic structure and the unspoken secrets it held, a profound sense of relief washed over me. Although nothing overtly terrifying had occurred, the lingering sense of unease persisted. The experience had left an indelible mark on my psyche, forever etched as one of the most harrowing and inexplicable chapters of my life. To this day, I find myself haunted by unanswered questions. Who had been breathing behind that wall? Whose footsteps had echoed on the upper floor? And why did the landlord maintain a steadfast silence, seemingly indifferent to the disquieting presence within his own property? Though I have moved on, that unsettling encounter remains a chilling reminder that sometimes the true horrors lie not in the supernatural, but in the enigmatic depths of the human experience. And in the end, it is the unanswered questions that linger, eternally shrouded in the veil of the unknown. Story 3. Growing up in the Midwest, my friends and I often found ourselves searching for entertainment in a place where options were scarce. It was a typical Friday night, and our usual routine of hanging out at the park had lost its charm. We craved something different, something adventurous. As fate would have it, a nearby pool had been shut down for reasons unknown. It sat abandoned, a shell of its former self, with an ominous void where once water had shimmered. After months of neglect, we unanimously agreed that this dilapidated pool would be our new haunt. Scaling the fence, our hearts pounding with anticipation, we entered the desolate pool area. We brought along some drinks in plastic cups, ready to spend the evening basking in the peculiar ambience of this forgotten place. The night was ripe with possibility. As the hours passed and laughter filled the air, our worries melted away. We regaled each other with tales of the supernatural and shared life's absurdities. However, our carefree merriment was abruptly interrupted by the sound of jangling fence links. Instinctively, we fell silent and exchanged anxious glances. The tension thickened as footsteps echoed on the pavement, followed by the unmistakable creak of a bathroom door. Panic surged through us. Someone else was here at this late hour in this eerie, forsaken place. The situation took an unsettling turn as our minds raced to conjure theories about the intruder's identity. Whispers filled the air as my friends debated the stranger's purpose. We unanimously agreed that leaving before encountering this enigmatic figure was the wisest course of action. With silent determination, we stealthily ascended the pool ladder over the fence and began our journey home, hearts pounding in our chests. However, amidst our hasty retreat, one of my friends realized he had left his phone behind. His desperation to retrieve it overpowered his rationality, and he pleaded for someone to accompany him. Without hesitation, I volunteered, unwilling to let him face the unknown alone. Returning to the pool, we approached with caution, attempting to climb the fence noiselessly. As my friend descended the ladder, I stood as a sentinel, scanning the surroundings. Time seemed to crawl as I kept a vigilant watch over the bathroom doors, my senses heightened by adrenaline. Suddenly, movement caught my eye near the kiddie pool area. My heart seized in my chest as a figure rose from a crouched position and sprinted toward us with alarming speed. Panic surged through my veins as I helped my friend up the ladder, our adrenaline-fueled sprint commencing. Behind us, I heard the shattering of a bottle and the muffled screams of my friend. Fear gripped me as I struggled to comprehend his words, but the urgency in his voice was unmistakable. Climbing the fence became a Herculean task as terror and alcohol impaired our movements. Finally reaching the top, we hurled ourselves over, hitting the ground hard. Our knees scraped against the rough surface as we scrambled to our feet. It was in that moment that I caught a glimpse of our pursuer, a disheveled, barefoot man with torn jeans and a yellow-stained shirt. His face bore the haunting pallor of neglect. I averted my gaze, not daring to take in any more details, and resumed running alongside my friend. The man's anguished shouts echoed in the night, warning us never to return. At the time, his threats filled us with terror, but with the passage of time, we now laugh about our harrowing encounter, relieved to have escaped unscathed. Yet, as I reflect on that night, a tinge of remorse fills my heart. The homeless man we encountered was clearly troubled, a victim of society's neglect and the hardships of life. In his eyes, we may have appeared as threats, invaders of his fragile sanctuary. It is with a mix of sympathy and guilt that I consider the circumstances that led him to haunt those abandoned premises. In the aftermath of that chilling encounter, we made a solemn pact never to return to that forsaken pool. The memory lingered, a cautionary tale that permeated our conversations. We shared our experience with others, recounting the surreal events of that fateful night. Each retelling intensified the eerie aura surrounding the pool, solidifying its place as a haunting chapter in our collective history. Years later, as adults, we find ourselves reminiscing about that evening with a mixture of nostalgia and awe. We marvel at the audacity of our youthful curiosity and the recklessness of our actions. The pool had become a legend among our group, a tale we would pass on to future generations, a reminder of our daring escapades and the eerie mysteries that lay hidden in the world. But amidst our laughter and jest, a lingering sense of unease tugs at the corners of our minds. We question whether we could have done more to help the homeless man, whether our actions inadvertently exacerbated his suffering. The pool, once a symbol of adventure, now serves as a haunting reminder of the fragility of human lives and the importance of empathy. As time passes, the pool becomes a distant memory buried beneath the layers of life's experiences. We move on, pursuing our individual paths, forging new memories and encounters. However, the lessons learned on that haunting night remain etched in our souls, serving as a constant reminder to approach the unknown with caution and compassion. The Midwest, once deemed mundane and lacking in excitement, holds a different meaning for us now. It became the backdrop for an extraordinary tale, an exploration of the human psyche and the shadows that dwell within forgotten corners. Our quest for adventure led us to unravel a story far more profound than we had anticipated, one that continues to shape our perspectives to this day. And so, as we traverse the varied landscapes of life, we carry with us the echoes of that Midwest night. The abandoned pool stands as a testament to the thin veil between the ordinary and the extraordinary, a reminder that even in the most unassuming places, unsolved mysteries and untold stories lie waiting to be discovered.